Yesterday I went back to work for the first time in like 6 or 7 weeks. I took some leftover paternity leave from last year, and so I've just been doing some projects around the house for the past month. If you've been watching my videos recently, you know that I've been going through a creative and career crisis of what am I doing? I don't even know if I like editing. To okay, this is all right. I can manage. I just need to kind of like figure some stuff out and take a break, take a breather, try some things, all that. Now that I'm here, going back to work, I'm trying my hardest not to have a crisis over it and to be stable and to be calm and collected and think about things. And it's not so bad. I'm like, this is not as bad as I feared that it would be. But here's the thing. I think what's helping is that a couple of weeks ago, I wrote a list of all the things that I was dreading to go back to. And now, instead of freaking out about my job and work and, creative stuff, I have a list of proactive things that I can work to make better, to make my situation better. So what was it that I was afraid of and that I'm trying to do better? I'm so glad you asked.
I've got a list here.
I'm going to read it. Number 1. I hate the constant struggle of searching for music. It's such a burden to trying to find the right song that everyone will like. Okay, this is a bad one to start with because I don't have a solution for this. My thought process was maybe I can use some of the AI tools on some of the music service sites to try and prompt finding the right music, but I feel like this one's just a struggle recently. So we're gonna move on. The seemingly endless review process. It seems like no matter how much time I spend or don't spend on an initial edit, there's always a painful amount of feedback and updates. This is especially brutal on tight deadlines. Yeah, I'm concerned about this. This happens all the time. For years, it was a struggle just to make the deadline. 5 p.m. on deadline day, I'd send it off to my boss and he'd review it and be like, oh, we got to make these changes. And then I'm like, we're pushing 6 o'clock for getting this thing sent to the client. I didn't want to live like that. And so what I started to do a few years ago was I started sending an initial edit to my team a day before the deadline. So that way I could have like a day and a half to make changes and kind of iterate and make things better. The problem is now with that is we keep making changes on stuff until the delivery time. And it's like, well, that's not the point. The whole point was to be able to take that pressure off of that deadline and get it done in a manner where it's like, oh, we're good. We've got a few hours left in the day. I can work on some other things. That was the point. Part of what I want to focus on, now that it's a habit to get the projects done early, I want to instead focus on making that initial cut really good. And because I think that the idea is, it's just, you just get that rough initial edit. It's fine. But if the initial edit's really rough, nobody has a vision for what you see it becoming. And so then they're like, oh, this isn't very good. And you're like, well, you're not seeing what it's supposed to be. And that's the point. I'm the editor. They're not. They don't have that vision of, oh, if we did this and this and this and this will be wonderful and amazing. But I think trying to get that vision into the edit very early on, and then they can see and they can be like, oh, this is really good. It's not exactly what we had in mind, but this is really good. I think that will put me in a better spot as opposed to focusing all the energy on just getting something out early. I think there's a balance, but that's my plan, and we'll see how that works. Seems like no matter how early I start an edit, it always Seems like no matter how early I start an edit or how much time I put into it, it always comes down to the wire. Parkinson's law, hardcore in effect. I mean, this is similar. I don't know, part of it's procrastination, part of it's the creative, I feel like if I just wait and sit on this, I'll come up with a creative idea sooner. And it's tough to do that on client projects where you've got somebody waiting for something. I think when it's personal projects, you can really just sit on it. For the client stuff, there's never that time to do it. And so giving up on that dream of, if I'll have a few weeks to sort of sit on this idea and kind of percolate on it and then execute it, is not going to happen. And so just going with the gut feeling of what's there and just making it happen in a day, I think I need to get better at. And not procrastinate, not kind of put off, and not be frustrated that like, this could be so much better. I think I just have to follow my gut on those things. And it's like, well, it's not going to be the most innovative thing in the world, but just trying to make it solid as it stands, and being okay with that. I think that'll be helpful. It feels humiliating to have to say to my boys, I'm sorry, I can't come to dinner right now. I have to finish working. I'm not done working yet. I mean, this is also similar. It's that I'm on delivery day. It's down to the wire. I'm making these last changes. We're sending these things back and forth, trying to get this thing just right to send to the client. And I'm running late and all of that stuff. Yeah, I don't like that. It does feel humiliating, and I don't want it to seem like to my boys that work is more important than my family or than them. And I know, that's an extreme, I think, but it's also like, if you don't rein in the thing, like the work, if you don't say like, no, I gotta be done, then it keeps creeping. I've even got a really good job where there is very little creep, but even with it, I've noticed that if I'm not careful, it does do that creeping, kind of into the other areas of your life, and you gotta just rein it in. And it's not a bad thing, but it's easy to do. And part of it's my fault. Part of it's my fault to not being able to say no, or not being able to say, hey, like, this has got to wait, and making that call. It's that attempt to, I've got a problem. Here's what I'm gonna do to try to fix it, and having that kind of plan in mind helps me feel better about it. It's like, okay, I can manage this. I have an action plan in mind, and things that I can execute to try and make the thing that I'm dreading not something that I dread, and something that I enjoy again. It's basically fall now. It's September 3rd or something. I'm not excited. I really want summer to stick around. Back to school, back to work, back to the grind. I don't know. I'm just rambling at this point. I appreciate you watching. Thanks so much. And you'll see me on my next video. Peace. I already did this. Is that okay? There's nobody there. I don't know. See ya.